Chaos erupted as desperate figures surrounded a fallen body with dark intent. A ruthless voice shouted for the main character's death, treating the corpse as food, while another figure cheered at the thought of surviving the madness. The young man screamed in agony, clutching his face, blood staining his hands. A confident character stood playfully and demanded an extra share of resources from the group. Despair hung in the air as the young man lay injured on the ground, and an indifferent figure handed a bloodied cloth to a sly woman. Covered in blood, the young man expressed intense anger and vowed revenge against those who wronged him. The young man gasped for breath, panic coursing through him as he sat on the bed drenched in sweat. The young man sat on the couch, confusion clouding his face as he questioned how he had survived the attack. A phone date message sent a wave of shock through the young man. The young man stood by the window, lost in thought as he pondered his rebirth. A supernova exploded and struck Blue Star, plunging the world into icy silence. The freezing city lay silent, a haunting reminder of the chaos that had engulfed it. The young man struggled against the ice, his body overwhelmed by the relentless cold as he fought to move and searched desperately for a way out. A weather report echoed in the air, describing the severe temperature drop and the blizzard's devastation. Frustration boiled within the young man as he clenched his fist. He raged about having to rely on the supermarket warehouse supervisor for survival, how his supplies had been stolen by ungrateful bastards, and how they had even cut him up for rations. The world lay frozen, shadows of desperation flickering in the chilling air. The young man walked determinedly, plotting survival strategies in his mind. He resolved to prioritize safety, hoarding supplies, and seeking revenge against his enemies. A blue light illuminated the young man's intense gaze as he focused intently on the approaching threat. A flicker of doubt crossed his mind as he rubbed his eye, questioning if something had entered it. Amidst glowing blue structures, the young man floated in wonder, realizing he had stumbled upon an incredible ability space. He exclaimed that with this, he could store a massive amount of resources. A determined individual plotted a scheme in the grocery warehouse, envisioning a future where he could hoard all the supplies from his supervisor's warehouse. The air buzzed with urgency as towering buildings loomed overhead, and the young man prepared for the coming apocalypse. He expressed a need to eat delicious food quickly before time ran out. An intimidating and bold figure demanded all the dishes from the building's occupants, exuding confidence as tension filled the air. A lavish meal lay before a hungry and carefree individual who eagerly devoured every bite without hesitation. The waiter watched in surprise, wondering about this nouveau's sudden feast. The young man joyfully indulged in a feast of instant noodles, reflecting on the absurdity of food scarcity in the apocalypse. A staff member eagerly offered a VIP card to the young man. He casually declined the card, expressing that he didn't need it. A playful conversation unfolded as a cheerful blue-haired girl teased Ching about her newfound admirer from a wealthy family. A playful woman greeted Yi with surprise, asking where he was going. A storm of fury brewed within the young man as he confronted his unseen rival. He expressed disdain for the rival's pretentiousness, revealing a deep-seated irritation. A confident individual pointed upward, holding a VIP ticket while sharing plans to gather resources and hinting at the benefits of free labor. The young man listened intently as two cheerful neighbors excitedly shared their plans to buy something together. He browsed the grocery store, casually explaining his purchases to a curious female character. The determined individual stocked up on food, humorously considering the unpredictable nature of an impending apocalypse. The young man playfully responded to his friends, assuring them that he would treat them to dinner next month despite his busy schedule. The confident character taunted the young man, questioning how he, a wealthy individual, couldn't buy things himself. A light-hearted atmosphere filled the room as the young man reassured his friend about her tiredness, emphasizing their good friendship. The cheerful character playfully consoled her friend, insisting that Yi wouldn't mind her earlier words. Moments later, she asked if they were done shopping. The young man smirked confidently, expressing that he didn't mind the playful banter directed at him. High-rise buildings towered against a bright sky, embodying the hopes and struggles of a world transformed. The grocery store bustled with shoppers, but one woman struggled to push her overloaded cart, frustration etched across her face. The young man observed her from a distance, concern creeping into his thoughts. The young man contemplated revenge, his smirk revealing a vengeful determination to settle the score with those who wronged him. The grocery store aisle buzzed with energy, and the young man spotted a cart overflowing with discounted food. He wondered if he intended to buy it all. The young man commented on the shopping group, noting their excitement over discounted items and mentioning that they were helping ye send things back. Amid laughter, a cheerful grandmother suggested splitting her chocolate bar with the young man, surrounded by curious onlookers. A tense standoff unfolded as the young man clutched food, defending it from a child reaching out urgently. He declared his intention to keep the food for himself. The annoyed adult looked on, frustration etched across his face. The young man confronted a rival, his voice filled with fury as he demanded the return of his chocolate. The young man pointed aggressively at his rival, furious about the ongoing conflict and the child's predicament. The young man reached out passionately, insisting he would buy it later and didn't want to take advantage of anyone. The young man stood firm, anger radiating from him as he confronted the unknown person about the snacks. The air thickened with tension as a furious woman confronted the calm young man, her threats echoing in the charged atmosphere. The young man stood at the door, listening to two friends teasingly remind him about treating them to a meal. The young man reached out, his hand trembling slightly as it brushed against the cold surface of the door. The determined individual conjured a glowing blue energy from his hand while focusing on a piece of paper. The young man studied a survival checklist, contemplating how to insulate his home and create a fortress against the harsh world outside. The determined individual pondered the chaotic scene, wondering how to acquire guns and other mechanical weapons for survival. The determined individual lay back on a couch, plotting his next move amidst the chaos of the world outside. He believed he had a month to sell assets and find a way to obtain funds. A modern building stood tall under a clear sky, sunlight spilling over its facade, signaling a new day. A determined individual examined the food items on the table, contemplating how time's flow might differ from the outside world. The determined individual held his phone, pondering the possibility of preserving prepared meals. The determined individual smiled as he spoke on the phone, eager to invite guests to a 3-day banquet at his house. The tension in the air thickened as the determined individual listened intently to the hotel manager's proposal about the banquet costs. Mr. informed him that the banquet would require a hefty deposit in advance. He assured the manager that he would transfer the payment promptly. The determined individual smiled while holding his phone, feeling confident about his plans for the upcoming banquet. The determined individual held a red book labeled Deed. He worried about how money would soon lose its value. The determined individual stood before the bank, feeling a wave of anxiety wash over him as he checked his remaining amount. He thought about how his savings and mortgage still fell short. The anxious individual reflected on financial concerns while gripping his phone, worried about expenses and the looming need for medicines and weapons. A man stood confidently, offering the determined individual a loan, insisting that the bank's rules made borrowing money difficult. The determined individual smirked while gesturing thoughtfully, calculating his next move for survival. He requested millions, expressing urgency about the rapid response from others. The determined individual anxiously requested a loan of $5 million, hoping for help to navigate his current struggles. The confident figure assured him that lending money was easy and suggested discussing details at the company. Mr. introduced himself to the manager, expressing his desire to borrow money. The determined individual stood beside him, concern etched on his face. Mr. urgently pleaded with the manager for special treatment, emphasizing the pressing need for capital turnover. A financial discussion concluded with the eager and hopeful individual expressing gratitude to the manager for the loan agreement. A determined individual focused intently, writing a demand on paper with urgency in the air. He requested collateral in exchange for $5 million. A determined individual passionately argued with Mr., insisting his house was worth $5 million and offering a car as collateral. Mr. pointed out the house's actual value was only $4.5 million. The determined individual urgently pleaded with boss for immediate financial help, needing $4.5 million to survive. The determined individual confronted a seated businessman, frustration evident as he raised his fist and demanded $4 million, promising to repay $7 million later. A confident man in a suit made a special request, explaining his plan regarding a certificate from the bank. The anxious man listened intently, worry etched on his face. A tense atmosphere filled the empty room as two men discussed urgent financial matters, their voices low and filled with concern. The cunning and scheming individual explained the risk of borrowing $4 million against a house worth more, revealing the gravity of the situation. The optimistic and opportunistic figure responded with enthusiasm, suggesting they could still make a profit despite the odds stacked against them. In a dimly lit room, a calculating and opportunistic individual plotted to exploit a significant target. The co-conspirator expressed intent to contact an overseas organization for valuable parts. The car engine hummed, and a confident individual smirked at his unexpected fortune. He thought two fools had just handed him free money to spend. A determined individual held a phone displaying received funds, feeling a surge of hope for building a safe house. The calm atmosphere shifted as a woman confidently explained the War Dragon Security TM's extensive operations in China. The air was thick with nostalgia as the young man sat on the couch, lost in thoughts about past rumors surrounding the safe house. A business manager with a formal demeanor introduced himself, stating his name was Wu Ren and offering assistance to the main character. A determined individual shook hands with an ally, urgently requesting their help to build a safe house capable of blocking the apocalypse. The confident man presented the price list to an unseen client, assuring them that his War Dragon company would meet their needs. The determined individual focused intently on a piece of paper, searching for clues in the chaos surrounding him. A blueprint outlined security upgrades for a house, detailing critical measures to ensure safety in a chaotic world. He reviewed the intricate designs with focused determination. The determined individual considered a plan to fortify his home into an impenetrable iron turtle, ensuring no one could invade. The determined individual reflected on wealth, noting that safety concerns drive rich people, despite his realization that their reasons are often fabricated. The determined individual explained that even a smaller house could become a fortress with the right changes and enough weapons. Then, the curious figure asked about his research on fortresses. The determined individual excitedly held a blueprint, recalling his experiences as a mercenary and the military knowledge he gained overseas. Surprised, the young man reacted to an unexpected revelation that shook his understanding of the world around him. The determined individual sat confidently at the table, hands clasped, and asked if anyone had ways to acquire guns. If you'd like to see your favorite titles retold, leave a comment, and I'll be sure to pick some of them up from time to time. Also, let me know which video format you like more, long videos or short ones. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you again soon.